Located amid the beautiful red mesas of the northwestern New Mexico, St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School serves the Navajo living on the eastern Navajo Nation. The St. Bonaventure Mission has provided love, support, and hope for a better life to the Navajo through the generosity of all those who have shared their prayers, resources, and time. Together, we complete a circle of love that bears witness to God's constant love and represents a future that offers great promise. The mission's tuition-free school is a private Catholic agency providing the people of the Eastern Navajo Nation the opportunity to develop self-sufficiency through education, employment, housing, and outreach services that make available food, water, clothing, and other social services. We are motivated by the desire to mutually share the goodness of God. Our vision is that all Navajo people have the opportunity for a quality education, a life free of pressing survival needs, and the opportunity and capacity for economic self-sufficiency.
My name is Chris Halter. I'm the Executive Director of St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School in Peru, New Mexico.
Tell us a little about St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School has been in existence since 1974. We consist of a school, which is a preschool, 3- and 4-year-old day-long program, and then kindergarten through the 8th grade. Our enrollment is about 217 students on an average every year, and of those 217 students, about 90% of them are all Navajo children. I have been the Executive Director at St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School since November of 2006.
What does St. Bonaventure do?
Many of the things that we do here is to fight the poverty that is so prevalent in this area. There's a 67% unemployment rate. And a lot of times people ask me, what is it that drives me to do the work that I do here at St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School? And I think primarily I've been involved in working with people in poverty for over 20 years. I've worked in Africa, I've worked in Latin America, and what I see when I wake up every morning looking out my back door is the same type of poverty that I would see in any of the other developing countries around the world. There's very little infrastructure in regards to electricity, to water. Roads are unpaved. Again, the high unemployment being at 67%. Children and adults fighting issues of obesity, diabetes, and so there are a lot of issues that that affect people's health because of the bad infrastructure. Water is so scarce out here that this is one of the places in the United States, very few places, where water is actually delivered to the homes. St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School delivers approximately 1 million gallons of water a year to about 170 families that have no access to running water whatsoever.
Can I ask,
how large of an area does St. Bonaventure service?
We primarily work a 50-mile radius from the location of Theroux. But we can actually, because south of Theroux is primarily national forest, and there's not a lot of people living there, a lot of what we do is, so we can push that probably another 25 miles north. So about 75 miles north is the radius of what we do from Theroux.
What are St. Bonaventure's primary goals?
The primary goals of St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School are to address the immediate needs of poverty and also to address the long-term situation. In my 20 years of working with people in poverty, there are two things that I believe to be essential to combating and ending poverty, and that is, number one, education. Education starting at a very young age and getting people to move into high school and then hopefully into university type education. This is the number one way of battling poverty in the long run. Number two is meaningful employment. St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School has approximately 65 employees. Of those 65 employees currently on hand, 50 of them are Navajo. Peru is being as isolated as it is. We're 30 miles from Gallup, 30 miles from Grants. We are the primary employer in this community. So those address, well, by giving employment to people, that addresses some of the immediate needs of poverty by giving them an opportunity to work, earn money, and to have an honest living. Education obviously addresses the long-term issue of getting people out of poverty. Other things that we do to address the immediate needs of poverty is we provide food boxes. We get our food from local food banks. We bring the food back here. We box it up. We make announcements on the radio, and people drive in from the reservation to pick up the food that they need. So that is addressing some of the immediate needs. Also, water delivery, the fact that there is no water out on the reservation for many, many people. We're able to get them the water that they need to survive. In talking about water, one of the biggest problems that we face is this area is highly contaminated with uranium and mercury deposits in the water table from uranium mining that happened back in the 1940s and 50s up through the 1970s. So in places where there is water, most of the water is contaminated. Our water well, we actually test it every month looking for those types of contaminants and heavy metals and that type of a thing. Luckily, we have a very good water source. It's very clean, and we certainly hope to maintain it that way.
How do you get this water to the Navajos?
Our water truck goes out 5 days a week delivering water. Darlene Arviso, who is our water truck driver, she does an incredible job of not just pulling up the truck in someone's front yard and filling up their water barrels. She actually goes in and checks on the individuals to make sure that they have food, that they have, if they need medicines or blankets. And so she is always checking on the individuals that she's delivering water to.
How many families do you deliver water to a day?
But I'm sure that she's meeting at least 10 to 15 families a day that she's delivering water to. Now we provide up to 110 gallons of water every 7 to 10 days for these families. Now, many of us in the United States will use 110 gallons of a family of 4 just to shower every single day. So it gives you an idea that this is very little water that has to last them 7 to 10 days.
What other services do you offer?
In addition to water delivery, we have 2 mobile home parks that consist of 120 homes. 90% of those homes are for people needing low-income housing, and most of our rents run between $250 and $400 a month, which includes their utilities. Housing is a major issue where the Navajo Reservation consists of a population of about 300,000 people. I recently was talking to someone where there is a need for approximately 50,000 homes on the Navajo Reservation or the vicinity areas to actually provide homes for every person living on the reservation. So the mobile home park is very important by giving people affordable houses and an opportunity to be close enough to, even though 30 miles to Gallup or 30 miles to Grants is a long distance to drive, it's much closer than saying being 100 miles out on the reservation and having direct access to the freeway to be able to get to these two communities where there's higher potential for employment. We also run a thrift shop. Our thrift shop provides very inexpensive clothing and blankets and kitchen utilities for kitchen utensils for people. One of the things that I've learned over the years in working with people in poverty is that they need to have a sense of pride in who they are and what they're doing. And so by giving things away, you take away that pride. By giving them an opportunity to buy clothing for 10 cents or 25 cents, they're providing something out of their pocket. It gives them a sense of pride that they're taking care of themselves and not just receiving a handout. And then they're also able to take care of themselves in that way. During the wintertime, we have a lot of homes that burn down because there is so little access to electricity or heating sources. A lot of times people in desperation, when the winds are cutting through here and a wind chill of 40 below zero, people will put they'll build little fires inside metal barrels inside the mobile home, which obviously will heat up and then catch the structure on fire. We've been addressing those issues through education, getting people not to do that. But when a home does burn down, we've been provide all of the necessities at no cost to get themselves reestablished with food, clothing, blankets, pots and pans, things that they would need to start their lives over again.
What can we do to help?
One of the major things that we are always asking people throughout the country for are blankets. We can never have enough blankets. The blankets obviously provide immediate warmth for people where they are in a home that doesn't have electricity or any source of heat. So the blankets obviously provide that immediate source of heat for people. But because there's so little water, people cannot really wash these blankets, and so they use them until they're in tatters. And so then we just help replenish those by the donations of blankets that we receive. We provide new blankets to people all the time. Blankets are the one thing that we do not charge for, just because there is such a high need for blankets.
Doesn't the government provide these services?
It would be nice to believe that in our world today that the government would be providing a lot of the social services, basic needs to people in this country, but the sad reality is the federal government does not, or even the state government, get involved in many of these social needs that the people have. That is primarily why St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School is in existence, to try and fill in the gaps where we can, where the government fails to meet these needs of the people.
How does St. Bonaventure get its funding to run these programs?
St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School exists from the generosity of people throughout the United States. People giving $5 or $10 a month is what adds up for us to be able to address the needs of the people here. With the economy being what it is today, people are still very generous, but many families throughout the United States are having to make hard decisions when gas is running close to $4 a gallon. Do they take that money and buy gas, or do they send an extra $5 or $10 to St. Bonaventure? So, our challenges are, how do we continue to survive in this economy when people throughout the United States that are struggling for their daily existence find the additional revenue to send to philanthropic issues and causes. So we are constantly having to assess and reassess the programs that we're providing and how do we do it better on less and less donations. And so that's a challenge that we face. One of the other challenges that we face with Native Americans in general, but especially with the Navajo, is a high rate of suicides, and suicides amongst young people. 2 years ago, here in the community of Theroux, which is a population of about 3,000 people, we lost 9 young people in less than 6 months. Now, the reasons or that people would take their own life, I think, is because there is such a sense of very real desperation in people's everyday lives. Our school provides 2 hot nutritional meals every single day during the school year. For many of the children, this is the only food that they will eat during the day. And so if they were not going to school, they would not have food in their homes. Many of the families are struggling with issues of alcoholism. And so that just exasperates the problem for young people at home. Then there's the issue of, okay, I'm 14, 15 years old, I'm going to graduate from high school in a couple of years, there's no jobs, there's no money to buy a vehicle, and even if there was the money to buy a vehicle, where do we find the money to buy the gas to drive a 60-mile round trip to go to the grocery store? So all of these things add up, and I think that the young people just find themselves in such a dilemma of, why am I here? What am I going to do with my future? What kind of a life can I have? A lot of people ask me, well, why did the people stay on the reservation? Well, we have to keep in mind historically that the land that is today the United States was the home of millions of Native Americans. In the mid to late 1800s, the federal government started placing the Native Americans on reservation land. Why they did it? Primarily to control the native population so that the United States could continue to develop their progress for this country. So the land means a lot to the individual. Many Americans feel the patriotism that we have for our country. Well, they have a sense of patriotism just for their land alone, and especially the small amounts of land that were given or provided for the Native Americans to live on. And so the Navajo people are very rooted in their land. They don't want to lose or leave the land that they've been given. And there's a lot of family ties. The extended families. It's funny in the sense of being an Anglo person, where the Navajo will talk to me about having 5 or 6 grandmas or grandpas, and they may not be the blood relative, but they're related through clan or through the tribe in some extended relationship. And but those ties culturally are extremely important to the Navajo as individuals.
How large is the reservation that you service?
The Navajo reservation consists of 27,000 square miles, or 17.5 million acres of land. It is the largest reservation in the lower 48 states. We take up the northwestern corner of New Mexico and the northeastern corner of Arizona, and a very small portion of the southeast corner of Utah, which consists of that makes up the Navajo reservation.
Tell us a little about how the Navajo and American histories are interconnected.
The Navajo have a very interesting and very little known history in relation to the United States government, starting really in World War II. In World War II, the Japanese kept breaking every code that the United States military forces was trying to develop until they began using the Navajo language. And the Navajo people involved in World War II became known as the Code Talkers. And were it not for the Code Talkers, the war against Japan probably would have never ended as soon as it did, even with the dropping of the nuclear bombs. The Navajo people are very, very patriotic, very committed to serving the United States government in the military. Many of the young people throughout the Navajo Nation have been involved in the World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and now with our most current conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq.
So the Navajo are very patriotic toward America?
There is a great sense of pride amongst the Navajo people to continue their warrior spirit in serving the United States military. Every year at St. Bonaventure School during Veterans Day, we bring in lots of veterans to share their stories with our young people and to give them a sense of pride in knowing what the history of the Navajo people has been in serving the United States, but also in the valor that they have as individuals in really wanting to keep all people free.
What does it mean to you to be the executive director of St. Bonaventure?
Being able to be the executive director of St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School is one of the things I am most proud of in my life. To be able to know that we can provide an education for children that would really have no opportunity for an education if we did not exist. But I think even on a more minute level, to be able to know that we are providing food for children that would have really no other opportunity to eat if it were not for those services that we provide here at St. Bonaventure. One of the things that people need to realize is that obesity is actually a form of malnutrition. Malnutrition meaning bad nutrition. If all they're eating is junk food, it's not providing the proteins or the nutrients that they need to have good nutrition. And so we have developed a program here. We actually have a licensed nutritionist that develops a very balanced diet for the children, and to ensure that the food portions are adequate for each child. We also have an after-school snack program where we are able to give children fresh fruits to take home so that they can have additional food to eat in the evening. For me personally, knowing that we are addressing an issue such as that gives me a great sense of pride. It also gives me a great sense of pride that we have carpenter crews that go out on the reservation and they repair homes that are battered every single day with high winds, the beating of the hot sun every day on these structures, the cold winter months. By having carpenter crews that go out, they may replace a window or help seal up a door so that there is better insulation in the home, maybe developing or constructing a wheelchair ramp so that they can get into their home without difficulty. expanding a bathroom that needs to be wheelchair accessible. These are things that I can go to bed every night with knowing that we have done something to actually touch an individual's life every single day. That's a great sense of pride. And I think for our donors, knowing that the money that they're providing is actually changing a life today, every single day. Every year on the first weekend of December, we have a community Christmas dinner. We start feeding people at about 10:30 in the morning till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. People come from all over the reservation lining up at 7 o'clock in the morning for this one meal. And we also, at the same time, once they've gone through the food line, then they can go over to our small gymnasium and fill up a bag full of clothes, and we have a Santa Claus that provides toys for the children. This past Christmas, when we did this event, the Navajo Police Department and the local sheriff's department, who was a Navajo man, they came out to help direct traffic and just provide a sense of security for the people. And I remember one of the Navajo police officers coming up to me and saying thank you for providing an opportunity for his people to feel that Christmas was actually a time of receiving, and where they would not ever really be able to receive any other gifts. And that, for me, having someone thank me for providing a service for so many people, really humbled me, because this, I was raised to respect police officers and people in authority, and to have that individual, that gentleman, tell me thank you for helping his people really touched my heart.
What is it like working with the children of St. Bonaventure?
The children at St. Bonaventure that we serve are an amazing group of young people. They live in this existence of where their home is not very warm in the wintertime. There's not a lot of food available. One of the amazing traditions that we have at St. Bonaventure is that at the end of every school day, when the children get on the buses, all of the teachers and all of the staff stand outside and wave to the children as they leave to go home every night. And so often the children have told me individually that is one of the most exciting parts of the day. Not that they're going home and leaving school, but the fact that everyone is there to say goodbye, but we are here for you, we stand behind you, we love you, we care about you, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
What is the future of St. Bonaventure?
The future of St. Bonaventure Indian Mission and School, for me, is how do we bring poverty to an end? Spiritually or religiously speaking, Jesus told us that the poor would always be with us. I don't think that Jesus said that as an excuse. I think that he said that as a challenge to all of us. That yes, poverty may exist forever, but that does not relieve us from the responsibility of trying to address those issues. And I think for a community or a population of people such as the Navajo, it is our responsibility, it is our challenge to work with the Navajo people together to address how do we bring poverty to an end? I think that if there was more businesses brought in, factories that could be developed here on Indian lands or on private lands near the Navajo reservation, that would provide more job opportunities and a sense of allowing people to take care of themselves in the short run and in the long run. That to me is the long-term challenge that we face, is how do we try and bring in more businesses. And I think that it's by educating people throughout the country to know that there is a major need in this part of the country and that there is a willing and able workforce. One of the, I think, the benefits for companies that might want to develop here in the Navajo reservation area is that their workforce is not going to go away. They're not going to move to a different city. They are committed to their land. They're committed to their families. They want to stay and want to work. So I think that that is a benefit that people who might be interested in promoting their businesses and developing it, there's a great opportunity right here in New Mexico. So that's one of the challenges. The other challenge is working with the federal government to awaken their awareness to the ongoing infrastructure needs in developing more electricity or access to electricity and more access to water. These are not insurmountable challenges if everyone is educated and aware of the need and willing to work together to bring and find a solution.
Ashford's social media would like to thank St. Bonaventure and Chris Halter for sharing their stories with us. To donate to St. Bonaventure, please visit www.stbonaventuremission.org/donations.